Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is trainer education, and the title is Avoid the False Knowledge Trap. So recently I was talking with another trainer, and we were kind of doing like a trainer education type session. So they had contacted me, wanted to get some knowledge. So they came up with some questions, and we went through them and kind of discussed all the ideas and things that they had been wondering or wanting clarity on so they could move themselves forward as a trainer. So that was super awesome. So thank you to that person for wanting to do that. That's always fun. And one of the topics that came up was the quality of their clientele and how their clientele can in one way be a comfort, but in another way be a limitation. And kind of the quote we came away with was, if you can't get it wrong, you don't know what's right. And what this was in regards to was a lot of their clients, pretty much all of their clients, were very new to training. So they'd either never trained before, or they had tried it off and on their own in the past, but was never really successful. So they came to this person now, but still with very little to no knowledge. So they knew what a barbell was, what a dumbbell was, like the difference, but they didn't know the proper positioning for a dumbbell chest press. They didn't know how to what was good form versus bad form. When should I continue an exercise, even though I'm breaking down slightly but still safe, versus when is it completely wrecked? They don't know what the proper rep ranges are for different goals. They didn't know proper rest periods, none of that stuff. So even though some of them had been lifting before, their knowledge had never really gone above beginner, and that can become a problem for personal trainers. Is again, if you only train newbies, if you only train people who have low knowledge and low experience, then there's pros and cons. Like there's the positive aspect of that is that it feels safe. You know more than they do. So therefore you're automatically going to be in charge, and they don't know enough to challenge anything that you say. And not even that they would be arguing, it's just they don't know enough to ask good questions. So you might say this, like such and such does such, and they go, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, but maybe that's not true. so you hope it's true, but you don't have things that challenge you. You don't have something that maybe tests the edges of your knowledge. And you're also always confirmed in what you say. Whereas if you have somebody who's advanced, so like I've trained people who have pro cards in aesthetics, and if I don't know something, they'll ask for clarity on it. Or like say I word something vaguely, they'll ask for clarity, and that forces me to crisp up my knowledge because I have to be able to explain it to a deeper level. And that is what you're missing when you always train newbies, is they don't even know enough to ask you a question back. So you might be able to give a cue in like a certain lift, do this while you squat, and they just say okay. But then with an advanced lifter, they might say like, well, if I do that, what about this? And you're like, yes, those two things are countering. I need you to find the middle. So they know enough to know like maybe one piece of advice might counter another piece. And that's that type of challenge that I'm mentioning. So it's not like they're trying to prove you wrong on something. They're just trying to get clarity, and they know enough that if you are not crisp in what you say, it'll show up and it'll kind of be pointed out. And it's not that it's a flaw. I mean, you're going to get stuff wrong. I get stuff wrong all the time. But we want them to be small little things or maybe a miswording, not that we have a complete concept wrong. But that's the positive of training newbies, is you feel safe. The negative, though, is that safety. You're not tested in your knowledge. And you're confirmed in what you say, even if what you say is wrong. So, you might say, hey, we're going to do this today because it'll help build your chest. I really want to build like the upper outer portion of your chest. This is going to work really well. And then it might be an exercise that actually takes the shoulders more. So I'm just making up examples. So forgive me for the vagueness of some of this stuff. Let's say I want to do 45-degree incline chest press. Okay, dumbbells, 45-degree incline chest press. Put that in your mind. And say you have somebody who is naturally shoulder and arm dominant in their pressing, so they want to build a better chest. And this happens in females too, so this isn't only a male thing. But their triceps and their shoulders kind of take over their presses. So you might be saying is, okay, I want to do an inclined press so I can work on their upper chest. But at 45 degrees, actually, that's almost too high in that somebody who is shoulder dominant, the front of their shoulder will almost always take over a 45-degree press. So to know that means that then you would only prescribe 15 and 30-degree inclines. And you might even have to do like chest flies first, or something that allows them to get a better mind-muscle connection with their chest. And you might do instead of a traditional heavy press, you might do a wide fly press. So there's actually combinations of movements that are a blend of the two. So there is actually a wide fly type press that I have my clients do, to where they would come down in a fly position, but instead of having their hands be exceedingly further out than their elbows, they're actually going to go into the fly position where their hands still stay over top their elbows. And then they'll press back up in like a flying arc motion. So it's almost like they're drawing a semicircle around their body, but they're never letting their hands go further out than their elbows, rather than just a straight up and down press. So that press fly combo allows them to get more chest activation, but not have such a decrease in overall weight load that you're now limiting the potential of growth because the exercise is so much weaker compared to a normal press. So if you do a normal fly to a normal press, the fly is going to be lighter. But if you do a fly press combo to a normal press, it's actually a very small reduction, but it gives them the increase in chest stimulation. So knowing all this stuff allows you to avoid doing the 45-degree just normal press, because thinking you're getting upper chest when you're actually probably just beating the shit out of their shoulders and getting their already dominant shoulders just to become more dominant. Whereas if you can drop them down to 30 degrees, do a press fly combo, and not have that much of a weight reduction, but have an increased degree of chest involvement, that's actually going to get you the results you want. So when you train someone who's new and you put them on the 45-degree incline and just a normal press, you're going to say, do you feel that in your chest? Sometimes they'll say yes, and they have no freaking clue if what they're saying yes is actually true. They just don't know what's right or wrong, so they just say yes. Whereas when you train somebody who's more advanced, they're going to say, I can feel my chest moving and firing, but my shoulders are actually burning more dominantly than my chest is. And then all of a sudden you'll know to move things. So that's one of the hard parts when you train beginners, is you can't really rely on their feedback. Because if they don't know what's right and wrong, they can't tell you if something's right. Okay? So if you ask them, how does that feel? Other than asking them if they're getting hurt, there's no point in asking that question because they don't know what the hell they're supposed to feel. So you have to kind of talk them through what they should feel. So you do need to get their feedback to make sure what you're doing feels safe to them and isn't causing any joint stabby pains. But at the same time, is you can't just take their word on something, whether it's right or wrong. You have to understand body mechanics. You have to know if they're moving in the right positions. You have to kind of coax them through it and say, well, doing this exercise, you should feel in this way at this part of the range of motion. Oh, yeah, I do. Boom, then you're good. But if you just say, does that work your chest? They're going to say yes or no, and you have no freaking clue if that's actually useful or not. So that's what we say is like, you're not being confirmed if what you say is right because they don't know if it's wrong. So there's a lot of safety in training beginners, but there's a lot of held back progressions for you as a trainer by training beginners. You will never become the best trainer you can be if you're always training beginners. And that's what we are referring to as a false knowledge trap, is if you're always training beginners, you're very quickly going to think you're a really good trainer. And you might be a good trainer. I'm not being intending to be mean in this. But chances are if you only train beginners, you're only a really good beginner trainer. You're not a good trainer. So your level of clientele is a good indicator of how good of a trainer you are. Now, sometimes that can hurt to hear because you want to be a good trainer. You just haven't had anybody of great significance or great ability come to you yet. And that is the case. That sometimes can happen. So even myself, like as I was getting further along in my training abilities, I started asking myself, like, man, I know what it takes to get somebody a pro card. Or, man, I know what it takes to get somebody a national record on these lifts. If I was thinking of powerlifting and like aesthetic sports, to the point where I actually offered to train people for free who were advanced because I wanted to see if what I knew was true. I wanted to prove it to myself. I didn't even care if I got paid. So now we made deals for like trade-offs if they got recognition or somebody asked them about their training or nutrition, they were going to refer them to me. So there's ways to maybe make good business transactions out of it. But I even went as far as training people for free just so I could get my knowledge confirmed from me. So there are ways to do it. So don't say I'm limited by my clientele. You're limited by what you choose. So I chose to train people for free just to get my freaking knowledge up and to see if what I knew was right. And sometimes maybe that's what you have to do. So one of the things you can think of, and I wish I had a visual aid for this. I don't, because this is an auditory type, whatever the heck this is, podcast, I guess, like an auditory way of sharing information. How about that? So on our social media and Instagram, Facebook, and I don't even know how Twitter really works, but our stuff is shared on Twitter. I will include a picture of a scale that has knowledge versus confidence. And it's a scale that pretty much everybody has seen, but it's hard to describe in the sense that your confidence should go up as your knowledge goes up. But there's a beginner aspect to knowledge to where you're only going to be confident. Well, your knowledge is based on what you're aware that there is potential for knowledge. So you only know of what you know of. So if I think that there's X amount of knowledge to be had and I have 90% of that, I'm going to be very confident in my knowledge. But what happens if X is only a partial part of the picture? So you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it. That's one of my favorite quotes. So you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it. So a lot of times when trainers are starting, they're only aware of a percentage of total overall knowledge possible. And out of what they're aware of, they're going to know all of it. So they're going to have super high confidence. But as you continue to learn more, there's actually an initial period where your confidence actually goes down. Because all of a sudden you start to realize, holy shit, there's a lot to this that I wasn't even aware of. And that can be a scary place to be. Because lowered confidence means you have lowered assurance in what you're doing. There's a lot more questions and everything. And it really exposes what you do or don't know, and it exposes your desire to improve versus your desire to protect. So when you only train newbies, you will often gain in confidence, but not in knowledge. So you don't get that much smarter. You just think of what you know everything. And that is dangerous. So when I've done consultations where I went to other gyms and evaluated their staff and whatnot, there's every single gym has one personal trainer at least who doesn't really know shit, but they think they're like the king of the world or queen of the world and they know everything. And it's often very comical because they're not even that advanced in their own abilities or aesthetics, but yet they think they know everything above everybody else. And whenever I would show up, it's a threat to them. So therefore, I have to stand there listening for 30 minutes about everything that they know and all the things that they do, and they try to brag. Meanwhile, my eventual answer is, I'm here because the business isn't doing well. If you knew what you were doing, I wouldn't need to be here. That kind of thing. So let's stop bragging on what we do know, and let's find out what we don't and fill in those gaps. And I've had to do that to myself over lots of years. So I've been personal training for 17 years. And I'm still learning to this day. There are things that I don't know or I have to learn more clarity on. I mean, it's an ever-evolving process. So when I've gone and done consultations at other gyms, and you run into that one, trainer thinks they know everything, that's what we're trying to avoid. I want you to avoid being that person. Okay? And it's scary because as you allow yourself to be open-minded, as you allow yourself to realize that there's more out there to learn, that does make you more aware of what you don't know yet. And that can bring down your confidence. That can test you. Okay? And what I'm asking you to do through this podcast is allow yourself to be tested. Be open-minded. Be willing to learn. Be willing to be told that you are wrong. Okay? I've been wrong many times. So I've told it in past stories of podcasts before, like, I used to try the fasted cardio thing because that was supposed to be all the rage when you read the magazines and stuff at that time. And I didn't recognize that, the bodybuilders and aesthetic athletes that were doing fasted cardio were also protected via like testosterone supplementation and other odds and ends of that sort. So they would get great results in fasted cardio without much muscle loss because they had things that protected their muscles. Okay? When you take the average person who doesn't do drugs and other things like that, and you make them do fasted cardio, they're going to lose as much muscle as fat. So they might go down on a scale, weight scale, but they look the exact same or worse. So fasted cardio, at the time when it came out, I had all my clients do it, even I was doing it. Then all of a sudden we realized, wow, we all feel like shit and we all look like shit. Let's stop doing this. so we moved on pretty quick. But at that time, I don't necessarily consider myself being wrong because my mindset at the time was, let's experiment with this. When you experiment, you're not right or wrong. You're just testing a theory. So we were testing the theory of fasted cardio. We found out that it didn't agree with us and we moved on. That's not being wrong, that's learning. So you have to be willing to be open-minded to opportunities of learning, which some people might view as failure. Some people might view as you being wrong. But that's not. That's just a faulty way of thinking. You were experimenting and you were giving yourself a chance to learn something new. And it turned out that what you learned was what you already did was better, and this new thing sucks. That's fine. It's still a form of knowledge. You now can eliminate options and better understand what you're currently doing. But what happens if that thing that you keep avoiding because you don't want to be seen as wrong, you don't want to be seen as a failure, and you avoid, what if that was the thing that was holding you back from your goals? Worse off, what if that was the thing that was holding your clients back from your goals? They're paying you, they're trusting you, and because of your insecurities, you're holding them back. That should make you feel like shit. That should be such a negative feeling that you are willing to test your own self to make sure you're not holding them back. And if you're listening to this podcast, I already know that you're the type of trainer that wouldn't want to be in your own client's way. So, remain open-minded. Seek out new opportunities to learn. And how you're going to do that is by challenging yourself. Okay? You need to challenge yourself. First of all, only identify your knowledge with what you can prove. Just because you read something in an article does not mean it's true and does not mean that it's knowledge. It means you were presented information. You now need to work, manipulate, experiment with that information and see if you can produce results based on that information. If you combine research, which is like articles, journal articles, peer-reviewed articles, maybe an article in a magazine, maybe even just somebody telling you something that you've never heard before, but information, you're given information. If you can take that information and produce results with it, that is knowledge. You must have the information plus results. So if you've heard of something, or if you've read something, but you have not produced results with it, that is not knowledge. Don't blind yourself. Don't make yourself feel comfortable thinking you know things if you can't prove them. If you can't prove it, it is not knowledge. You're only aware of the information. Okay? So don't fall into that false trap that just because you read an article, just because you watched a YouTube video, you now know something more. No, you're aware of something. Go use it and produce results with it. That's knowledge. So if you haven't produced anything with that information, it is not knowledge. Do not fall into the trap of believing you know a lot just because you've read a lot or watched a lot. Okay? I did that when I was younger. Like I said, I've made every single one of these mistakes. So that's why I'm telling you how important they are to avoid. Because these were things that stood in the way of me becoming a better trainer earlier. And I hope now as much as I can with whatever clarity I can at this moment. I hope I'm not doing anything in this moment that is holding me back from becoming an even better trainer. So that's the first thing to avoid in a knowledge trap, is just because you read something, just because you watched a video, does not mean you know it. You don't know something until you can take the information and produce results with it. Okay? Second thing is, if you only train newbie clients, you are only a newbie trainer. Don't get all high and mighty. Okay? Don't put yourself up on a soapbox. Don't believe you are better than what you really are. If the results that you have only ever produced are with beginners, then you are only a beginner trainer. If you don't like the sound of that, good. I'm glad you don't like the sound of that. Because that means you're going to get a fire in your belly and you're going to step up and you're going to challenge yourself and try to progress. So staying with newbie clients and not testing yourself to improve, that's the trap. It's safe and it's comfortable to be with newbie clients. But safe and comfort keeps you where you are. It does not allow you to grow. Okay? Like I said, whenever I wanted to test myself to see if what I knew was true, I went out and I trained advanced athletes for free. I went and found CrossFit coaches who needed to get stronger. I went and found people who were really freaking close to national records. People who I thought had great aesthetics, and they probably were just a good coach away from getting a pro card. And I went and offered my services for free, and in some cases really severely discounted. So I still got some money, but I got a lot less than what I really would have wanted, and for the amount of time it took. But that's what I did to start getting my name out there and prove, first of all, I wanted to prove my own knowledge. So it was for me first. Second of all, it was helpful for business because as of right now, like I just looked before this podcast, half of my clients are physical or personal trainers. So half the people I work with are personal trainers and or sell services of some sort like that. And business-wise, that helped a ton because exposure through them helped me get more clients. And then I do a ghostwriting service for a couple of the trainers to where if they have a client that they don't know how to handle, I'll write the programming template for them, and then they take that client through that template. The client never knows I exist, but it gives me some money. It gives me a chance to grow in my knowledge. So there are potentials to have business increase. But first of all, just do it for you. Do it because you want to prove to yourself that you're not a newbie trainer. I didn't want to only train beginners, okay? We all have the dream of being a personal trainer where you train somebody to a pro card. You train somebody to a national record. You train somebody to a first place in some kind of competition. You will not get those clients if all you ever train are newbies. Think about it. If you were an advanced athlete and you said, who are the trainers in my area that maybe I could go with? Oh, yeah, there's this person over here. All they ever train are beginners. I'm going to go with them. Hell no, that ain't going to happen, right? That's stupid. So an advanced athlete is going to go to who trains advanced athletes. Duh. So if you want to get your name in that mix, you got to find some advanced athletes to come your way. You got to start somewhere, right? And sometimes you got to start by doing it discounted. Sometimes you got to start by doing it for free. Maybe you get lucky it's a friend. Maybe you get lucky and somebody just comes into your gym and they tend to be awesome and you can grow and build upon that. You can get lucky, but why the hell would you wait for luck? That doesn't make any sense. Be proactive and go get some people, okay? So don't fall into the trap, okay? If you only train beginners, you're never going to know what's right because you're never going to know what's wrong. So what I mean by that is like, you can have if somebody's overweight and you tell them to come into your gym and do jumping jacks for 30 minutes, they're going to lose weight. So jumping jacks is going to look like the smart thing to do. Is doing jumping jacks for 30 minutes the smartest way to train somebody who's overweight? Hell no, it's pretty damn stupid, okay? But would it produce results? Yes. So you're going to think you're right. So that's what I mean, is you're not going to know what's really right because you're never going to know what's wrong. Because when you have somebody who's a beginner, any stupid shit works with them. So the stupid shit that you do, you're going to think is right. As you get to more advanced clients, all of a sudden you realize that stupid shit don't work. And you have to actually know some things. So that's what I'm asking you to do. So who now that you train tests your knowledge? If you can't think of anybody, you're in the trap. You're at risk of staying right where you are for the rest of your career. Is that where you want to be? Remember, you can wait for luck, Maybe some amazing professional of some sport's going to just blow past your small town and somehow pick you up, and you're going to become a star trainer for the movie stars and athletes. Hell no, it ain't going to happen. Okay, has it happened to some people? Yeah, one out of like a billion. Okay, so I wouldn't wait for something one out of a billion chances. Okay, I would take control of your life and do something now. So if you don't have somebody that challenges you, put yourself out there. Do some free training. So I've done some services before through our gym where I'll make an announcement on social media and I'll just say, hey, we're going to do a free training session. If anybody's interested in a free training session, email me at blah, 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 blah with what you would like to work on. If you get somebody to bite, okay, pick somebody who's outside of your comfort zone. Pick somebody who needs something that's maybe injury related, and all of a sudden you have to do some physical therapy that maybe you're not done before. Okay, challenge yourself to grow. So then maybe you have to find some chiropractors friends. Maybe you have to find some physical therapists. Maybe you have to buy a book or two. So I went to a physical therapist. I went to two of them for different injuries I had. I asked them what their college textbooks were, and I bought every damn one. So I have college textbooks for physical therapy, and one of the guys had to buy it for me because I didn't have a license for it. But I have all the books, and I read through them all because I wanted to know what they knew. Now, are they better physical therapists than me? Hell yeah, they do it every damn day, all day, and they have the degrees. But do I have a good enough knowledge to help the beginner cases of physical therapy needs? Hell yeah, of course I do. So I learned a lot. I've put in a lot of that information to results. So I have clients who've set records, who've won competitions, who previously used to think that they couldn't lift anymore because they were so injured. Okay? So you have to test yourself, put yourself out there, challenge yourself to grow. If you don't feel challenged, you are not growing. So find someone who challenges you so you can give yourself the opportunity to grow. Okay? Don't stay comfortable. Eventually you will lose passion, you will lose interest in your job. You maybe will become an okay, good trainer. You'll be the best of the best newbie trainer. But do you want to stay a newbie trainer? No. Because you're never going to have those fun, exciting clients that you've dreamed of always training. Okay? So that's what you got to do. You got to challenge yourself. You got to test yourself. Okay? If you want to train pros, if you want to train national records, if you want to train people who place first place in competitions, then you've got to put yourself out there and start getting experience with those people. Get out of your comfort zone. Accept the fact that maybe you don't know everything. And go find out what yet is there to learn, what yet is there to know. Go seek that out. Okay? To be your best, you have to train the best. Challenge yourself and go find those people. Okay? Cool. Now, if this sparked any interest in you and you have any questions, or if there's anything at all that you want clarity on or help with in regards to today's topic, email us at brutalirongym@gmail.com. Okay? So like I said, half the people I work with are personal trainers. I love working with personal trainers because every single trainer I help every one of their clients. So it makes me feel good about the reach that I can have in life, and that just makes me feel good about myself. So that's kind of a selfish thing, but it makes me feel good. And then also it's fun training other trainers because I get tested in my knowledge all the time. So I'm constantly having conversations with people who seek out information every damn day, all day, on what we're talking about. So they're as smart and as eager to learn, as fired up as they can ever be. And I love being around that energy. So I love training other trainers. So who's your dream clientele? If you don't have them yet, go get them. Okay? And if there's any way we can help, please email us, brutalirongym@gmail.com. Cool. If you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. Also, if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Brutal Iron Gym. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. The podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. You can tell us at our email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful. And thank you for listening. And thank you for watching.